YouTube fans? Today we're going to take a look at the Deformation Space Thunder, their version of a masterpiece Thundercracker. So this is the second in the series of Seekers from Deformation Space, and I did an unboxing video just so people could kind of see what's different in this box. There are some different things compared to the first one we got, which was Starscream. It does come like this. I wanted to just show you out of the box. You do have to do some things. So you take the wings, fold those down on these double arms. It may be tight when you first get it, so you just have to use a little caution there. And then you want to take these, and these are going to fold upwards like that. They click into place very nicely. And then we're going to install some new parts. So you get these, which are wing fillers basically for the back here. You do have to remove them for transformation, so just be aware of that. So there's a little peg right here, and this is just going to fit right on top. It is a very tight fit, so I'd recommend when you take it off, be cautious, but you want to look kind of through here and see if you line it up. And then once you get it lined up, push it in. All right. So same on this side. Line it up and push that in. Take the backpack. That's going to fit right here. There's two pegs. They're going right into those holes right there. And then it fits right around the pylons. And then the last piece here is just for the butt flap here. That's just going to fit. Again, it's a tight fit, so at first you're going to have to use a little bit of force, but it does fit right on there just like that. So there's a new backpack. Very nice. Now, I personally I didn't have a problem with the back before, but this definitely adds to the look and the cleanliness overall. Now, there's one other thing you need to do, of course, out of box is put in the null rays. And these null rays are very tight because they're painted here and they're painted in here. So I recommend, this was a suggestion from a viewer, is to put some silicone grease on here. Not grease, regular grease, silicone. That'll help make it a little bit better. Now, it's still tight, but at least I'm not like forcing it with so much strength. Right? I can just kind of squeak it in there. And be careful with taking it out. It's because it's so tight, you just don't want to break it. Right? It is plastic after all. Right? So there you go. There is Thunder ready for action. He does have a matte paint finish, so if you're not a fan of that, I mean, it's very similar to the original Deformation Space Crimson Wings, so let's bring him in. So here is Crimson Wings. You can see he had matte paint here on the chest and on the crotch, but the arms were not matte paint. They were kind of this more shiny blue. And then down here on the feet and the shins, we had that more shiny blue. Whereas on this one, it's 100% matte. So everything on it is matte. The feet, the shins, the arms. I don't know if I love that. We'll talk about it later, but it is matte, so just be aware of that. Fully matte paint all around. We'll just leave this guy here for now. There are no other molding changes. The only change I mentioned here already is this backpack. Now, unfortunately, you do have to buy that for this guy. So here are the backpacks. They're not shipping these out for free, so you do have to go. If you want them, they're at Shozi store. I don't know if regular retailers like Toy Dojo are going to carry these. By the way, this is available on Toy Dojo's website right now for pre-order. So if you are interested in buying it stateside and not waiting for it to be shipped from China, you can buy it from Toy Dojo. The link is in the description below. But I do think this is a nice improvement overall to include this wing filler and just clean up that back. You do get two faces here, and they are the same as before. So here's the one face. This is the smirking face. It's a very slight smirk. And then you get this one, which is just a smiling face. This looks exactly like this one. So I'm not really sure the difference here. They look the same to me. All right, let's take a look at the articulation. Again, it is the same as the original, but for completeness, we'll go over it. It goes down to there. Up to there, it's on that same kind of joint that we had for MP52. If you lift up the neck, so that part underneath, you can actually get it way down, or you can just use it on the ball joint. So plenty of movement on the head, rotates around. The ears are spring-loaded for transformation. I am finding this is coming out sometimes, but rotation at the shoulder, all the way around on a ratchet, up and down on a friction joint. The gun itself can go up and down, all right, and it can rotate. It's just very tight. Double jointed, let's see. It's very tight again. Double jointed elbow gives you the full bend. You have a rotation at the wrist, extremely tight. Individually articulated fingers with 1, 2 pins, and then the thumb's on a ball joint with a pin, 2 pins for the thumb. Nice hands, and then you have this in and out motion, so you get a little bit of extra movement. You get some nice poses out of these. They are very, very tight due to the paint tolerances on this. Everything is tight. They have a waist rotation, which is unique to this mold. MP52 does not have that. You have an ab crunch. It breaks up the sculpt, but you can't do it. So he can get way more than that. If you lift it up more, you can go way further, and you can crunch. It just looks awkward because it breaks up his cockpit there, but you can do that. Coming down to here, you have hip skirts. This one is very tight on the front, so just be careful. I'd hold as close to the joint as possible, not here. And lift that up. Gets up to there, back to there, hindered by the back. Out to the side on friction, very, very tight. Rotation at the thigh. Double jointed knee gets you the full bend. Ankle tilt all the way out. Toe tilt back and forth. And no rocker on this one. But you can't move the toe and heel independently. But there you go for articulation. And for a size comparison, there is Thunder next to the Takara Tomy Masterpiece Shockwave and the MP36 Megatron. And he does come in a little shorter than Megatron, which is good. I think that makes sense. But he is taller than the Masterpiece Soundwave and the Masterpiece Shockwave. That doesn't seem right to me. But, of course, scale is in the eye of the beholder. Up to you how you want this to fit in. Me personally, it does feel a little bit too big, at least for my collection. And here's a comparison that most people want to see, the Takara Tomy MP52 Plus Thundercracker. And both of these guys are really nice, but I already did a comparison on the Deformation Space Crimson Wings versus the MP52 Starscream. So I'm not going to do it again here, but just for your benefit, I'll put the score from that comparison up here right now. And you can see it was really close. The Deformation Space definitely landed points on the cartoon accuracy, the sculpt, the articulation, and the cost, and the build quality. Whereas Takara Tomy landed points on the paint, on the transformation engineering, which I found much more enjoyable, the overall alt mode, and gimmicks and accessories. So really close for me personally. Now I've been having a hard time deciding between these two guys. I really like them both. I probably will stick with MP52, but you can't really go wrong with either of these. I think they're both good. The size difference is definitely something that people have a preference for. You know, that's really a user preference type of thing. So you have to kind of decide what fits in your collection. All right, now let's get this guy transformed into his jet mode. Now it is the exact same transformation as the Deformation Space Crimson Wings, with the exception of now we've got these wings back here. You do have to remove these. I recommend pulling from here to get these off. Don't pull from the outside because the pin or the peg is on the closer to the inside of the wing. So you want to get a little more leverage here versus on the outside. And it can be tricky, and if you need a spudger, go ahead and use a spudger, but I found that that works best. And then these you can just pull off. This one kind of folds down. So there you go. There's all those parts taken off. Now we'll go through the normal transformation. Since it's the same as the Deformation Space Crimson Wing, we'll do it off camera and then we'll be right back. And there's Thunder in his jet mode. Very nice looking jet, of course. But the transformation, again, what a nightmare. It's basically the same, so I was thinking maybe after so many transformations of this guy, I've transformed MP52 7, 8 times just for reviews and comparisons and on and on. And I figured maybe this guy's going to be easier now that I've done it so many times. No, it's just the same. Everything's tight. The tolerances are really tough. everything just gets in the way. So especially the first few times, once you loosen it up a little bit better, but really beautiful once you get it here. Nice stripes detail. Now you can see there's all sorts of little scrapes and scratches. Now I was very careful, but there are just, because of the paint, it's a matte finish. So any type of scuff or scratch or oil, anything will show up on the surface. And you can see little tiny imperfections. It's not horrible. So you want to be careful because of that matte paint, it's going to show up. Here's the back, here's the engines. I like these, how these are much more solid than the Make toys. They don't flop around. Nothing flops down. It's a big solid chunk. Feels great. Here's the bottom. I still have this issue here with the this door is a little bit loose. That was the same on the original, but this one fits in and stays in. But once it's open, it kind of flaps around. So that's a little bit better. I don't know if it's due to the paint or what, but that stays. Here's the landing gear on the bottom. That's fine. You do get the nice transforming missiles here. That looks good overall. And for comparison, there it is next to the transform element Nemesis Prime and the Fans Toys Goose. Pretty much the same size as other MP jets. Fits right in terms of scale with the Masterpiece. And for comparison, there it is next to the Takara Tomy version of Thundercracker. Both really good looking jets. Obviously I haven't put the Decepticon logos there, but I do like the paint color on the Takara a little bit better. That red is really kind of light on the DS, where it's a more darker and better paint. But either way, they both look good. They're both good jets. Neither of them are off by any means in terms of the looks or the colors. They both hit the cartoon pretty well. But I just wanted to show this for comparison so you could kind of see how they look together. So final thoughts on the Deformation Space Thunder. Let's start with the positives. As was true with Crimson Wings, this looks amazing in robot mode, like it just stepped out of the cartoon. Same with the jet. The jet looks great. I do like the addition of these additional parts on the back, especially for free. That's a really nice addition, just makes it nice and clean. I didn't think it was necessary, but now that I have it, I think it looks good. I also think the articulation and the build quality, all of that's still the same as before. Feels good, feels solid, doesn't feel like a low quality product or anything like that. Negatives wise, I have the same negatives. So number one, the transformation is just a nightmare. It's still a nightmare after doing it 8 or so times back and forth between Crimson Wings and this one, and it's not fun. And in fact, another issue is the paint, right? As you transform it, the paint scratches and scuffs. I have a little bit of scuffs here and there going between robot and jet mode. And the paint being all matte this time, it adds to that problem, right? The matte paint really shows scratches. So you kind of have to be careful, or it also just shows scuffs. You know, there's little scuffs here and there. And that's the issue with matte paint. If you ever owned a car with a matte paint job, it is nearly impossible to get it to be scratch free because it scratches so easily. And the same is true with this. It just scratches very easily. Now, I think it looks nice, but I wish they had used a more shiny paint like the Takara paint. But that's really it for negatives. I definitely recommend this. It's a great version of Thundercracker. Looks great, performs well, other than the transformation. So either way, you can't go wrong with MP52 or this one. Me personally, I prefer the look of MP52, but this is a great addition to any Masterpiece collection. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.